We'll move it right to your desk.
And then just do the feedback.
Do you remember that when you square roots both sides, you have to remember to put the plus or minus, because it could be 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. It could also be negative 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. You put the plus and minus, or you could write it like this if you want, but the plus or minus takes less space, because both work. Now the next one, we're going to move the 5 over first, and you'll get x squared equals 9. Because it's solving, you want to get x by itself, but now we have something squared, while the opposite of squaring is square rooting. And when I square root both sides here, it could be plus or minus 3. The third one, we'll move the 8 over by adding 8 to both sides. We'll divide both sides by 2 to get the x squared by itself. And then, to get x by itself, we'd have to square root both sides. Get x equals plus or minus the square root of 12. Can you simplify that radical? To 2 root 3. So we'd write x equals plus or minus 2 root 3. And finally, when you have a binomial squared like we do in this one, we can do the same thing. We can square root both sides right at the beginning, because that'll get rid of the squared. Then we're going to get x minus 1 on the left equals plus or minus the square root of 5. And if I wanted to get x by itself, I'd have to add 1 to both sides. And we could get x is equal to 1 plus or minus square root of 5. If you wanted to find on your calculator what those answers were, one of them would be with the plus, and one of them would be with minus. Yeah. Every time you take the square root of both sides, like I did in every step where I have the square roots in red, the next step you'd have to have plus or minus. Because there's always two possibilities when squaring, because a negative squared and a positive squared will still be positive.